Live from New York. This is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Tuesday?
I'm doing great. We got a lot of topics. This is going to be a great show tonight.
Absolutely. A lot to talk about. Week one's officially in the books. What a game last night. A lot of comebacks. Kickers doing very well. Chris Boswell had a 60-yard field goal to seal them the game against the New York Jets. That was a pretty crazy kick. A lot to talk about, a lot to get into. So actually, let's jump right into it because I'm excited for this one. Coming from me and a lot of people out there, if you follow the show for any length of time, you would know that I'm not exactly the biggest fan of Daniel Jones. However, this is what we're going to start with, which is Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins went up against the Indianapolis Colts, and it went as badly as you could probably expect when versing Daniel Jones, except it was in the opposite way, because Tua, when he should be in that 70% of the season where he does well, performed horribly. He had 114 passing yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, and also a fumble lost. He was terrible. The defense didn't do much. Daniel Jones had a phenomenal game in his debut with the Indianapolis Colts. And what I find interesting is that Tua Tagovailoa was asked in post-game about how this is seemingly he's pressing too much and doing too much, and this was his reaction when being asked that question. Take a listen to what he had to say.
I wouldn't say I'm pressing. It's part of the game. Like, you obviously don't want to turn it over. I thought that was a wild comment. That I turned the ball over in bunches. That's crazy. It just so happened that's what happened today. Like, it was what it was. We got to move forward from that. You know, can't make those same mistakes. And just move on from it.
I wish it got better. But even Coach Mike McDaniel said on ESPN, quote, "I think there was a lot of preparation for week one, and I don't think it looked like it." Little counterintuitive there. He goes, what does that mean? That means the guys let week one and the bells and whistles of the season starting to get the best of them. My job is to prevent that. I did my best. Not good enough. If that was Mike McDaniel's best at trying to not let the yips of the start of the season get to his players, then there are going to be 2 things, maybe 3 things that are going to happen in rapid succession. The first one would be Tyreek Hill will no longer be a member of the Miami Dolphins. He looked pissed off, especially at the end of the season, his comments, and then Tua saying he has to rebuild and rebuild the trust and rebuild, the level of respect for the rest of the team. Tyreek's probably going to be gone by the end of the season, or maybe even before then at the trade deadline, because I do not expect Tyreek Hill to put up much more with just the abomination of Tua Tagovailoa's offense. I think that in very, very short order, we will see Tyreek Hill gone. And maybe the second thing to happen is Mike McDaniel will get fired. I think that we're, 4 years into the system. It's not gotten much better. Tua's had his moments there. They made the playoffs once, got obliterated by the Kansas City Chiefs in a very, very chilly game, and this is where Tua Tagovailoa struggles. There's that stat out there that Tua has yet to win a game in 45 or below degree weather. Well, I decided to expand it a little bit. Let's go to what yesterday's game was, which was about mid-60s. Normally you would think, okay, well, Miami team, Florida team, it could get about 65 degrees, especially, entering the fall season. So I looked at the numbers of Tua playing in 65-degree weather or below, and these were the numbers. He has a losing record, 7-19. You might think, well, 7-19. He has he's 38-25. 19 of his 25 losses have come in very nice weather. I would say a lot of people would love to be in 65-degree weather. Tua struggles with it. He has a 64% completion percentage. That's fine. 217 yards is adequate at best. 32 touchdowns to 26 picks. That's about 1.2, 1.3 to a 1 ratio. It's not good at all. 85 pass rating, that's below average. And his team in those games averaged 20 points a game, which is not terrible. But in the 19 losses, the offense averages 16.7 points per game. And a lot of these were like 7-13, 13-20. And we could also look at some of those. Obviously, he got hurt, and I accounted for that. The stats have been adjusted to when Tua had to split with Ryan Fitzpatrick and whatnot. Those are obviously adjusted to just Tua's statistics. So, all around, I thought the game was horrible. Tua airmailed a pass that got picked off. He got outplayed by Laiatu Latu on another interception. The fumble was bad. The offense just looked abysmal. I think the only positive thing was a lot of people were worried about their running game. Devon Achane had 7 carries for 55 yards. 7.9 yards a carry. That's not bad at all. Very small sample size because Daniel Jones was chopping up the Dolphins' defense a lot. And we could be like thinking about, okay, what about the pass rush and all that? Because they sucked with pass rush. They didn't do that bad of a job. It's just that you couldn't really, on third down, pressure the quarterback a lot because 5 out of the 15 third down attempts were within 5 yards, or rather, 5 of the 15 were beyond 5 yards. So Daniel Jones was getting, 3-4 yards on first and second down, keeping the chains moving. So I think that this is a lot about Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins. I do not think Mike McDaniel is the long-term coaching answer for Tua, for the Miami Dolphins organization. And the third thing that I meant to get to is, are we sure Tua will be the guy? You just paid him not too long ago. But I would maybe consider looking at a future starting quarterback. Because my quarterback, like we've said consistently over the years, one more injury, and he's probably going to be forced to medically retire, at least if it's another concussion. He can't really run anymore because there is that fear that he will have another concussion. Late in the season, when you need him the most in December and January, he can't win games. I believe he's like 0 for 9 or 0 for 7 in 45-degree weather or below. And he doesn't perform that well either. It's not like, the defense stinks. No, his statistics, his numbers, they don't look good either. So I think that we may need to find a quarterback in very short order here if you're the Miami Dolphins. Because if you have a quarterback playing 70% of the season well, and when you need him the most in the 30% when it really matters in December and January, and then if you ever get to the Super Bowl somehow in February, but I don't think you're ever going to make it that far, well then, what are you paying him all this money for? What are you, putting all this trust in him for? Just so you hope he can get out of, the freezing cold fish out of water, frozen fish section, and just say, you know what? There's our quarterback. There's our franchise quarterback who's going to win us the Super Bowl. Yikes. I think right now you play the Buffalo Bills. You've beaten them once in the last 14 tries. Josh Allen eats you every single time. I think your defense is lackluster. The offensive line still isn't great. Your weapons are fine. This seems like a relatively talented team. You have a lot of big-name pass rushers that should be good. It's just that when you give up chunk plays and you can't run the ball, which drains the clock, which keeps the defense on their heels, what are you supposed to do? You're putting the ball in harm's way by keeping it in Tua's hands. I think that it's very, very ugly. And there's a number out there, if I can get it up, where, he's talking about pressing and all of that. This is the 7th time that Tua has committed 3+ turnovers in a game since he came into the league in 2020. The only other quarterback to have more, and it's one more, is Trevor Lawrence with 8. Tua has lost a fumble and thrown for multiple interceptions in 4 times and twice in the last 3 games. So this is not just some absurd comment. No, this is a repeated pattern over Tua's career. He doesn't perform well in very nice weather. It needs to maybe get to 70 degrees and higher, and there's where the rest of the 31 wins come from. Because they're not coming in 65-degree weather or below. And especially if it gets cold, where most people, if you live in above the middle of the United States and up, where you need to maybe put on a light sweater, Tua all of a sudden becomes frozen. I think that the Dolphins are in serious trouble if Mike McDaniel you're relying on. Tyreek Hill doesn't want to be there, but he's supposed to be your major threat. And also your quarterback will be okay through 70% of the season, and the back 30, you're screwed. So week 1, we can't, say, the Dolphins are done. All I'm saying is this week 1 was very telling of a Dolphins team that last year, Bradley Chubb said that they were just faking it. They dipped their toe in the water but never dove into the deep end. This team, and a lot of people are pointing it out, has no respect for its head coach, has no respect to try to win games, apparently, maybe because they know their quarterback, is made of glass and paper, or that the head coach really is this nerdy guy who thinks he knows it all, but in reality, you look at some of the formations, they're doing the same thing. They tried to work on too high safety. They're coming out in the same formation, same things, same exact looks. There's no creativity. There's nothing really where it's like, oh, snap, that's a great play. It's the same thing. Tua's forcing it to the other team. Daniel Jones looked like a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback. That's a quarterback that I think we're sort of we hope to see Daniel Jones like this with all the weapons. And he looked great. Tyler Warren had 74 yards on 7 catches. Michael Pittman, my guy. I've loved him ever since he came out of the draft. 6 catches, 80 yards, and a touchdown. There was a beautiful throw. Alec Pierce, it was a 36-yard reception left side. That looked like an all-pro throw from Daniel Jones. So I'm not saying the Dolphins are completely done. All I'm saying is you have a quarterback who could only play 70% of the season, head coach that's maybe a little bit not as good as people thought, and a star receiver who has been saying he wants out, who requested a trade, who then came back and is already frustrated after week 1. Yeah, the Dolphins, they're going to have a lot of years ahead of them, and maybe I'll eat my words if somehow a miracle happens, but they're going to have a lot of years ahead where they're going to struggle mightily. So, we'll see. And speaking about struggling mightily, let's go to my next favorite quarterback to talk about, Russell Wilson. Because Brian Daboll, after being non-committal in the post-game conference after their 21-6 loss against the Commanders, then had to come back on Monday and said that Russ will be the starter and it's not all on Russ. There were a lot of things they need to work on. Well, are we sure about that? Are we really sure that it wasn't all on Russ? I'm not, because obviously there were some issues. I think Jaden Daniels had a couple very nice runs, some soul-crippling runs throughout the game. But in large swaths of the game, especially late, the Giants had several opportunities to do something. I mean, they went on a 16-play drive and ended up kicking a field goal. They went for it on 4th and 2. That first drive, it was a -1 yard run with Tyrone Tracy. Then Russell Wilson basically rainbow airballed or airmailed the pass to Malik Neighbors. And then they had a 4-yard, it was behind the line of scrimmage, but eventually a 4-yard reception. So that was basically a throwaway drive. The second drive, this is their big drive. They moved the ball down the field relatively nicely, but Scadaboo wasn't a great runner. He caught a very nice pass and trucked a couple of guys. But Russ was 7-10 at that point for 52 yards. 4th and goal, 2-yard line. They got a penalty, so it's a fresh set of downs. And what happens? The opening play on 1st and goal was a gadget play to an offensive tackle. That was their brilliant play on 1st and goal. So essentially throw that play out. And guess what? Another one, -1 yard run with Scadaboo. He didn't have a lot of success running the ball at that point. I think I would maybe, do a bootleg Russ or whatnot. But speaking about bootleg, they did another one, a pass play where Russell Wilson airmailed another throw. So that, a nice 16-play drive that took up 8 minutes resulted in a field goal where they had 1st and goal on the 2-yard line. Russell Wilson has an issue over the course of his career, the last 3 years, and it showed in this game, where he holds on to the ball. And yeah, the offensive line was missing Andrew Thomas, and maybe that'll help. Although they're about average offensive line and pass block efficiency after week 1. But Russ has a tendency to hold on to the ball and generate pressures of his own doing, not his offensive line's fault. He was tied for 7th in week 1 in pressures allocated to him, meaning it's his fault that he got pressured. In 2024, he had the 3rd highest rate of that. In 2023, he was number 1 in that. So the QB allowed pressures, it's his own fault. That's what he likes to do, apparently. Hold on to the football. But let's look at the positives. A clean pocket. He's just after week 1, 30th in completion percentage, 50%, 25th in yards, 29th in passer rating. And that's the Giants' starting quarterback? Now, you just play a Dallas team with Russ out there that was surprisingly good on defense. For the most part, they shut down Saquon. Saquon had his moments here and there, but I think we were expecting against a Dallas team that didn't have a pass rush or anything to actually, maybe get cooked by the Philadelphia offense that just won the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts cooking the Kansas City Chiefs. But they actually did a relatively good job at just stopping a guy who just ran for 2,000 yards. Now, Jalen Hurts had a massive impact on the game, and they were able to actually win. They did a really good job at slowing down Devontae Smith and basically taking A.J. Brown out of the game. It was a very close game, 24-20, week 1 against Super Bowl champs. You should be commended for that, massively, especially with Brian Schottenheimer as your head coach. Nobody was expecting that, and losing Micah Parsons. I don't think a lot of people, there was an 8.5-point spread, and I think people were shocked by the Dallas Cowboys. And I think we're going to week 2 with an offense that sputtered. And again, there were opportunities. After it became 14-3, these were the Giants' drives. 6 plays, no yards, punt. 4 plays, 15 yards, punt. 3 plays, no yards, punt. Then they kick a field goal. There you go. It's 14-3. But after they scored that touchdown, the Commanders did to make it 14-3, it became end of half, punt, punt, punt. Then there was the touchdown, and then that was basically the end of the game. They had opportunities for the punts, but instead all the Giants did was punt, 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 field goal, turnover on downs. The offense sputtered. Like this was the last 5 games that we saw with Pittsburgh, where the offense averaged 14 points a game. This is the Russ that we're seeing. And I brought the graphic. I don't have it up immediately right now, but I showed it to you that Russ, the attempts in his career were like 27th, 25th, dead last, 35th, or 31st, excuse me, 25th. Like that's been Russ's career. And the yardage has sort of replicated that. Where he's found his successes in an efficient running game. So when you have Tyrone Tracy, Scadaboo, Singletary as your running backs, it's the same argument I had last year with Daniel Jones at quarterback. They don't have a running game. The offensive line is okay. Will it be a top 10 offensive line? Maybe with Andrew Thomas out there, because I believe they were number 7 with Andrew Thomas out there last year before he got hurt, and then they became the worst pass blocking efficiency offensive line. So maybe things change a little bit. But they didn't do terribly, because a lot of it was Russ holding onto the ball, holding onto it, and then generating the pressure himself. I don't think the Giants are going to go anywhere. They have the hardest schedule in the NFL. They have Russell Wilson at quarterback. Brian Daboll sticking with this game plan. I could understand it's only week 1. What are they going to do? They can't bench Russ immediately because of a simple, instant reaction to a very bad game against a really good team. But that's going to be the same thing throughout the entire season because, again, they have the hardest schedule in the NFL. And if we go to this schedule right now, these are the upcoming games. At Dallas, I think that just became a lot harder in a lot of people's eyes after seeing what week 1 did with the Philadelphia Eagles. Home against the Chiefs, home against the Chargers with apparently a brand new Justin Herbert who is lighting up the Chiefs defense. And then maybe you have some relief at Saints. Then it's Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, Bears, Packers, Lions, Patriots, maybe because the Patriots looked abysmal. Bye week. Commanders, Vikings, who J.J. McCarthy had a tremendous game. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Raiders, who look pretty good against the Patriots defense, and then the Cowboys. Yeah, the Giants, I'm sort of rethink it here. If we see even a similar performance, not the exact same, I'm not saying they score 6 points a game, but let's say we see what we saw, let's say we see a similar performance, and based on what this game was, and let's say we see the Russ Wilson of the last 5 weeks with the Steelers of averaging 14 points a game. 1 win. And that's the Saints. And maybe that they put up a good fight against the Cardinals. They were leading for decent portions of the game, and they were actually making a big comeback. So, really, I'm trying not to, be like, oh, the Giants are screwed. That week 1 game was exactly what I've been ripping on Russell Wilson for. Check down, not really moving the ball downfield. If inefficient running game. The defense did okay. You had opportunities. You led an offense led by Jaden Daniels and also a really good offensive line. Really talented receivers all around. Daboll had a good game. Terry McLaurin, they have Zach Ertz, who, yeah, he's ancient, but he still has a big impact. Austin Eckler, they have 2 very, promising running backs. And you only allowed them 21 points. That's pretty good. Through a decent portion of the game, it looked like 14 points, and Jaden Daniels didn't look great through large parts of the game. So if this is the Giants we're seeing, and Brian Daboll or Mike Kafka, whoever's calling plays is dialing up screen pass, who's this quarterback? Oh, the guy who the last 3 years led in check down percentage. People are, saying, oh, but he has a great deep ball. That's what Russ, great deep. I agree with you. Deep ball attempt percentage. 2.7%. He had 1 attempt deep. What do you want me to do? Yeah, he has a good deep ball. We may never see it. Maybe because it's not schemed up. Because I think this is just an all-around bad game for the Giants. All-around bad game. What's the next step? I think that if you are to bench Russ at some point, I think it should be soon. A quarterback that I don't think will have, crazy like, oh my God, why are they starting him? Genuinely, I think it's Jameis Winston. Because the whole thing is about getting Jackson Dart ready and not, putting him in immediately. Also, help out Malik Neighbors, who seemed relatively frustrated in this game. Jameis Winston. No risk it, no biscuit. The Bruce Arians offense. Just chuck it to Malik Neighbors. Maybe he'll come up with a big play. Maybe it'll get picked off. Who cares? As long as he's being targeted, right? That's what all these diva receivers like. Just get me my targets. Clean pocket. 3rd worst completion percentage, 25th in yards, 29th in passer rating. 25% of his pressures were his fault. 7th in week 1. 3rd in 2024, worst in 2023. He was number 1 in quarterback responsible pressures. He, like I said, started off okay that second drive, all the way down. He was 7 and 10 to 52 yards. And then it was Let's do a gadget play to an offensive lineman. Let's run it with a guy who just had another loss on another run earlier on in the drive, and let's airmail a pass on 3rd and goal. So a long 16-play drive, 8-minute drive, accumulated 3 points. That's the New York Giants for you right now. And to be honest, I don't think it's going to get much better because the Cowboys' defense looked better. Then you have to go up against the Chiefs, good luck. Then the Chargers, who have a good defense. The offense was insane against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Saints put up a decent fight. I expect you to win that. You are at Saints, so maybe that changes something. Then Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners. After 9 weeks, you might be 0-9. Just going to put that out there. All right, we're going to take a very quick 30-second break, but coming up, we got more of the show to talk about. The Bills. The Bills made a 15-point comeback with 4 minutes left in the game. And the Baltimore Ravens, again, another double-digit fourth-quarter lead they choked away. As well as we introduce a brand new topic. We're calling it Stephen's Summary, the weekly report. We go through all 16 games, 32 teams, and we give you the key takeaway and the key headline from each of those games. That's coming up right after this very short break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is indeed the massive game, Sunday Night Football, MVP of 2024 versus two-time MVP versus Lamar Jackson. And what a game it was. 15-point comeback, fourth quarter, down 40-25, and Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills were able to orchestrate a tremendous come-from-behind victory and get the W over the Baltimore Ravens. This is ridiculous. Another double-digit fourth-quarter choke by Baltimore. It was utterly ridiculous. I want to jump right into the question here, though. Who do you think is actually more to blame for this loss, or depending on what outlook you take of it, more responsible for the win for Buffalo? But who's more responsible? Was it more so Buffalo's offense, Baltimore Ravens' lack of defense? Who are you throwing the blame for this game?
I give it the blame to the Ravens, equally. Derrick Henry stepped up and said, I'm taking the blame for this. I fumbled. It's on me. I accept the responsibility for losing this game for us. Forget it. That's not true. The Bills scored 22 points in the fourth quarter. Huh? That's a collapse by the Ravens. They're noted for it. That's their signature now. And they show it in the first game of the season. That's the worst loss or the worst point comeback since 2017. 15 points with less than 4 minutes to go. Nobody's done it since 2017. First time it's happened. Josh Allen, hey, he showed he's the MVP. In this game, 33 of 46, 394 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and 2 rushing touchdowns. He was the guy for the Bills. He kept him in it. I don't know about you, Nate, but all these games, except for Derrick Henry, actually, teams couldn't run the ball in week one. You have Cook. He's a very good running back for the Bills. He had 13 carries, 44 yards, 1 TD. And we're going to see this throughout when we go through the summary. Lots of teams are running. The running game just wasn't there. Maybe it's because there's only 3 preseason games now. These guys aren't really ready. They really didn't give them that much contact in preseason because they didn't want them all to get hurt. But, the running game is nowhere to be found. The other thing I'd say, Lamar had a good game, a very good game. He was ranked number 4 in the fantasy points, hit 29.4. Josh Allen was number 1 with 38.8. Jackson, 14 of 19, 209 yards, 2 TDs, was great. Derrick Henry had a great game, 18 rushes, 169 yards, 2 TDs. They were running right through the Buffalo defense and until the fourth quarter where they choked it again. Zay Flowers, 7 receptions, 143 yards and a TD. Nothing wrong with the offense for the Ravens. It was defense, giving up 22 points in the fourth quarter. I don't put it all on Derrick Henry. Running backs fumble. That happens. Fumbles happen in a game. Just happened to happen in the fourth quarter for him. He'd had a great game up till then. He was responsible for 2 touchdowns in this game. I give him credit for taking it on himself, but that's the wrong thing. It was the whole team and principally the defense for the Ravens that cost them this bad choke.
Well, I sort of agree with you that I do not put it on Derrick Henry whatsoever. Like you said, running backs fumble. Are we sure that the Ravens are even in this game at this point up 40-25 without some of the biggest runs from Derrick Henry? I think that's what we have to acknowledge. Just like the CeeDee Lamb drops. If he's a guy that's leading you there, if he's the guy who's doing a lot for you, well, it's sort of inevitable that you're going to have some misfortunes on some crazy plays. CeeDee Lamb with the drops.
He had 110 yards of receiving on 7 catches, so he had a good game.
Right.
He dropped some passes. That's because they were throwing it to him a lot.
Correct.
But
he was the only guy really making a massive impact for the Cowboys
he
offense.
can't keep that up, for sure.
Oh, absolutely
but,
not. No, I completely agree with you when it comes to that. But Derrick Henry, 18 carries, 169, 9.4 yards a carry. You came in and said, oh, he's going to run for 200 yards. And maybe that would have been the case, but it was, I think, just very conservative calling late in the game. But there's a couple places, there's really 2 players that I could pinpoint that I put blame on, which the first one would be that I hear nobody talking about. Tyler Loop, their kicker. So Derrick Henry has the big run late to put them up 40-25, I think, at that point. And what happens? He misses the PAT, which would have made it 41-25. Which means the Bills would have done, even if the exact same thing happened, this game would have gone into overtime. If he didn't miss the PAT, it would have been 41-41.
Kicking performances in week 1, that's
I
for
think
sure.
there were some great ones. There were
some good ones, and there were some bad ones, too.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, every kicker was great, but, 60-yard field goal from
that's,
Chris Boswell's pretty damn good.
No, that was very good.
I'll also add to this. If I'm going to blame one player, because I really think this is opportunistic offense from the Buffalo Bills, and they executed it perfectly. Josh Allen really showed why he was the MVP last year, and if people were questioning, well, does he deserve it? All this, conservative offense, playing efficiently, whatever. 9 of 10, 115 passing yards, 3 total touchdowns on 3rd and 4th downs against the Baltimore Ravens, as well as in the second half, he completed 21 of 29 passes, 308 total yards, and those 3 total touchdowns. So when it mattered the most, Josh Allen performed at a very, very high level. The blame will be their new acquisition, who was a tremendous player for several years, but now it's like, is this a sign of things to come? Maybe, probably not. But Jair Alexander was getting cooked. He got cooked by Josh Palmer, which put him into field goal range late in the game. And on the very next play, he makes a tackle, which normally is fine. But Keon Coleman, I don't think, maybe I would have been wrong. Maybe this was, game plan. Are we sure that Keon Coleman would have had the awareness to drop before he gets in the end zone in order to run out the clock to kick the game-winning field goal? It seemed to me, based on the speed he was running, that he was going to go straight for the touchdown, which then would have given the Ravens the ball back with 3 timeouts to maybe execute a game-winning drive. But Jair Alexander makes a tackle, which then allows the Buffalo Bills to inevitably, run, kneel, kick the game-winning field goal without the Ravens having an opportunity to answer after that. I think that, people fumble. That's great. I also think that the inability to sustain drives, I think, doing obvious running plays to Derrick Henry late in the game, after the Buffalo Bills score a touchdown to make it a 1-possession game, Josh Allen had the QB scramble, and he was able to score a touchdown to make it 40-32. 2 plays, 4 yards, 50 seconds of time gone. Okay, well then guess what? Now the Buffalo Bills score another touchdown. They, I think, get a penalty on the 2-point or something. They don't convert the 2-point conversion. The Ravens come back, 3 plays, 7 yards, 32 seconds of game time taken off the clock. Conservative play calling, Derrick Henry, run. And then Derrick Henry, run. And then I think Zay Flowers may have had a carry as well in there. We know you're... Here's what I'm thinking. This is a battle of the MVPs. Put the ball in the MVP's hands and make the plays, because the Buffalo Bills did that. Josh Allen, massive runs. And in this game, I don't know if this is game plan. It was dink, dunk. And the Bills' offense early on didn't look great. The defense was doing pretty good. It was dink, and then the couple last drives, big-time plays, massive completions, massive gaps in the defense. It was a couple dink-dunks here and there, but it was a lot of, 10, 12, 15-yard completions. Josh Allen scrambling, running, doing what the MVP should do, make the plays that matter. If I'm John Harbaugh, if I'm the Baltimore Ravens offense, I'm saying put the ball in Lamar's hands. Give him a QB scramble because this guy backed up 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and it turned out to be a 19-yard gain on the play.
Yeah,
That's what you have at quarterback. Let your MVP make the plays that matter.
I agree with that. I think they should have been letting Lamar do more, and they got too conservative at the end. One player I'd call out here who had a good game, a second-year player, Coleman, 8 receptions.
Keon Coleman had a tremendous game.
8 receptions, 112 yards, and 1 TD. Very nice game from him.
100%. And just for the data, John Harbaugh, losses when leading by 10-plus points. Let's do a little bit of trivia. Second half, double-digit leads. How many losses does John Harbaugh have since 2008 in the second half? It's the most in the league.
Since when?
2008.
Since
many
2008. Well, that's a long time ago.
Right.
I don't have that number right off the top of my head.
It's a little bit of trivia.
Okay, I'll say 12.
17.
17.
How about just in the fourth quarter since 2008? So now we take the third quarter out.
14.
10. Now, just in the last 3-4 years, 7 second half the double-digit leads lost, and then 5 in the fourth quarter.
It's bad. They've got to figure that out. I mean, that's not good. And they did it in the first game of the year. Worst loss with 4 minutes left, coming back from 15 points since 2017. It hasn't happened in a very long time. 8 years.
Yeah. Speaking about that, when trailing by 15 or more points in the final 4 minutes, teams were 3 and 2,312 since 2000 in those type situations.
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills did something tremendous. And again, we can blame the defense, and the defense does have a lot to blame. We could also give a massive amount of credit. I do not want to take anything away from the Buffalo Bills and their comeback. Because, yeah, the defense wasn't great, and the offense sputtered late. But it only matters if you capitalize on the opportunities you have. And that's exactly what Josh Allen and this offense did. We would not be here if Josh Allen just did the normal dink and dunk and Jair Alexander didn't get cooked. If they had a couple big plays, but then, in the red zone, they were trying to force field goals, well, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about, a massive comeback. We would be like, okay, they had opportunities, and the Ravens barely got by. We'd be like, okay, how nervous are we? But now oh, snap. Okay, Josh Allen was able to do this, 21 of 29 for 308 total yards, 3 total touchdowns in the second half. That's the MVP.
Yeah. I think the other thing I would say about the Bills, very well coached. They didn't give up. They didn't give up. And a lot of teams would have given up down 15 points with 4 minutes to go.
Maybe offensively. The Sean McDermott defense, I'm still terrified
No,
by.
but I'm saying their motivation and their willingness to come out there and play hard when they're down by 15 with 4 minutes to go and find a way to win the game. That doesn't happen very often. It only happened since this is the first time since 2017 it's happened.
Right.
So I give them credit for that.
I think that, are the Ravens done? No, obviously not. They're a tremendously talented team. This is just another hardball, masterpiece. Again, this is what he does. We have these types of games. They'll bounce back. It'll be okay. The Buffalo Bills defense, I'm a little bit scared. Because, again, the same exact thing that we saw in the regular season last year against the Baltimore Ravens happened again. It's just this time the offense didn't sputter, and you had no answers.
Well, let's take a little bit of a time out here. They gave up 40 points, but that's probably the best offense in the NFL. One of the best, one of the top 3 for sure, right? They're going to be playing in their own division. You think they're going to have any trouble with their defense going to have any trouble with their own division? They play 6 games.
Right.
So, they're going to be fine.
And a lot of
other teams are going to play that nowhere near the offense that the Baltimore Ravens have. So, they scored 41. The Ravens scored 40. So, I think the Ravens defense was pretty bad too against a very good offense in the Bills. The Bills offense looking good, huh? Their receivers, their receiver core, their receiver core, the Bills receiver core, underrated. I would say underrated.
Maybe. I'll give you that.
Look at Coleman is coming through. They have Shakir. right?
Yep.
So they have their tight end is
there's Dalton Kincaid,
yeah,
Dawson Knox.
Kincaid.
Yeah,
he's a good player too.
Also, their third string tight end, Hawes, I think his name is. He had the big catch, right down by the goal line on the 1 yard line. So he was even making plays at that point. That just shows at that point you're like
good coaching. I think it has a lot to do with that. I'm
same
hard
coach
on
that can't beat the Chiefs in the playoffs.
I've been hard on McDermott, particularly his playoff coaching has not been great.
Yeah, wait till
regular
we get there.
season, not a bad start.
I would agree with that. We'll wait and see though. All right, let's get to our next topic here. Last night's game, what a performance. Caleb Williams and the Bears offense seemed to do really well early on, and J.J. McCarthy looked very poor, even had a pick 6 to throw into a relatively bad performance. And in the fourth quarter, we saw the national champion J.J. McCarthy went 6 of 8 for 101 total yards and 3 total touchdowns just in the fourth quarter. A 149.5 passer rating, again, just in the fourth quarter. So we saw a miraculous comeback, 21 unanswered points for the Minnesota Vikings offense. What a truly great performance all around. But my question to you is, are you more impressed with the Minnesota Vikings or more unimpressed and disappointed in the Chicago Bears?
Well, I'm not I guess I'm not surprised. That's what I would say. I did pick the Vikings to win this game. And I didn't think it was going to happen the way J.J. McCarthy started out. I mean, he had 48 yards passing in the first half. Then he came out and threw the pick 6 early in the third quarter. This game is over. This kid is not ready for prime time. He looked like a deer in the headlights there for a while. But to his credit, he came through. And they did it really with nothing from Justin Jefferson. He was a non-factor in this game. He really did almost nothing. And McCarthy he only threw 20 passes in the game, completed 13 of them. He had 2 DDs. He ran for a TD. He had an interception. He was 11th in fantasy points, 23.2. He really came through. I mean, and I think they're going to be good now. I picked them to be
above the Bears.
Above the Bears. I did pick. I'm not surprised by the Bears choking this game. I'm really not. I mean, they have a rookie head coach. They had, let's see, what they have. They had 12 penalties for 127 yards. Come on, you're beating yourself when you do that. Caleb Williams, he reverted to his old self. The pressure, he starts feeling pressure. Instead of check down, he starts running all over the place trying to make a big play. He's got to learn not to do that. The running game, no running game still. Despite all these new players and bringing in all this new talent, the running game still stinks. Williams was the leading rusher, 6 rushes, 58 yards, and a TD. Williams passing 21 of 35, 210 yards, a TD. He had 24.2 fantasy points, ranked 9th. He had the first 10 passes he completed. So he kind of fell apart after that. And I think you got to give the Vikings defense some credit. I mean, they really stepped up and they stopped what could be a pretty potent Bears offense, but they still have no running game. I would say that their offensive line is still a question mark because Caleb Williams being pressured and running all around all over the place. I'd say I was impressed with McCarthy to play so poorly for 3 quarters and then put it all together and come back and win the game. Right? He was the one. He made it happen for the Vikings. They were going nowhere until he found it. And now going forward, if he's going to gel more and get more comfortable, get Justin Jefferson involved. Maybe they'll be a playoff contender this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
mean, their defense is good. The defense is good, Nate. Right? They only gave up 24 points in the end, but some of it was garbage at the end there. I think that I was surprised how good they were. Actually, I picked them to win because I don't think the Bears have it yet, and they have a rookie head coach. So I felt sorry for Ben Johnson, actually, in a way. McCarthy ruined his debut, And they managed McCarthy very well for most of the game. So tough luck for the Bears, but I'm not surprised.
This game was literally the same thing, just flipped about, at the fourth quarter. Because the Bears offense looked pretty good in the first half. The Vikings defense didn't really do much. And the Bears defense did a lot. The Vikings offense was abysmal. And then in the fourth quarter, the Bears defense couldn't stop J.J. McCarthy and the Vikings offense. And the Bears offense sputtered against a pass rush that Minnesota brought about halftime. Because as soon as Brian Flores dialed up the blitz rate, all of a sudden, like you mentioned, Caleb Williams started to not see the field. He started to overthrow receivers, started to be very inaccurate with a bunch of his passes. He did not look great. So I think that this was crazy because we literally saw a flip of the exact same thing. One offense did really well, the other defense did well. Then a flip. The Bears defense started to suck, then the Vikings offense exploded onto the scene. The Vikings defense all of a sudden was great, the Bears offense sputtered. And there was also a weird early in the game, fourth quarter call that Caleb Williams missed. I thought the running game, late in the game, I think DeAndre Swift had a couple nice runs, but overall was largely ineffective, like you mentioned. Caleb Williams was the leading rusher in the game. DeAndre Swift had 17 carries for 53 yards. You don't want to see 3.1 yards an attempt. Jonah Jackson had the worst grade in PFF. He had a 22.6 pass block and a 44.8 run block grade. I mean, he was bad. He also had 2 penalties. The lack of discipline, but that normally comes with a very young head coach. You don't have that discipline yet. You had 8 penalties on offense, which that's unacceptable. Unacceptable, but it is a rookie head coach, so you're going to have growing pains there. But Darnell Wright had a couple very bad penalties, false start. There was a lot of false starts. Not a lot of holds, a lot of false starts. I think Caleb Williams right now at the line of scrimmage isn't doing a great job reading. His accuracy is a bit off. His mental clock is a little bit sped up, especially against a Brian Flores defense. I think that, first of all, we saw a great Caleb Williams to open the game up. So there is that maybe hope, maybe prayer that Caleb Williams could hone it in a little bit.
Vikings figured it out.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very easy to figure out when you're doing the same thing over and over and over again.
That shouldn't be Ben Johnson. He's supposed to be an offensive guru.
Well, that is on Ben Johnson, because if you can't dial up something special.
But that shouldn't be him. He's supposed to be somebody that really knows how to figure out the defenses. He did that for the Lions. Here's another game, Nate.
Sure.
I just want to point this out.
Yeah, go for it.
The rushing, there was no running game for either team, really. Mason had 15 carries for 68 yards for the Vikings.
That's not bad. That's 4.5 yards a carry.
Williams was the quarterback, was the leading receiver.
That's bad. But 4.5 yards a carry is not bad.
Yeah, but they only ran it 15
average.
Times in the game. That's, to me, you don't win many games by running it only 15 times.
Well, and the other quarterback is Caleb Williams, and the offense is sputtering 3 and out, and then random plays that don't make a lot of sense. I would say you can have those types of games. Now, I don't know how many games of a grand total of 143 passing yards J.J. McCarthy could have and win. That might be something.
He can't have only 48 in the first half many games.
Right. Normally, you're going to get blown out if you have 48 passing yards.
I think he found something, and he calmed down, and he's got a vibe.
It's his first career
start. And now
start.
they get Justin Jefferson involved, and Jordan Addison. I didn't hear his name called at all.
He's suspended right now.
Oh,
he's not going to be out there for, I think, 6 games.
He didn't.
I think he had a drop.
I mean, the leading receiver was a guy named Jones. 3 catches,
Aaron
44.
Jones? A guy named Jones. Aaron Jones, former Green Bay Packer, 1,000-yard runner. Justin Jefferson had a couple drops. T.J. Hawkinson, like you mentioned.
Three receptions, 44 yards, and a TD, Aaron Jones. He's a running back.
That's not bad.
Not a wide receiver. The wide receivers did nothing.
Hey, Justin Jefferson had a pretty okay game. He had a touchdown late that was very, very... hurt my friend's fantasy team.
5 receptions, but only 40 yards, I think.
Again, yeah. I would take that. If one of them's a touchdown, it helps you win the game. I'll take that through and through. Yeah. What I do find funny, though, is people, when the head coaching, carousel settled down and, coaches found their spots, people wondering, what's Aaron Glenn going to do for the offense? He's a defensive coordinator. Oh, Ben Johnson and the Bears, their offense will be fine. The Jets' offense with Justin Fields at quarterback was phenomenal against the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's with Aaron Glenn, a guy who they were questioning whether or not offense will be an issue. coming from the Lions, and Ben Johnson, the offense will be fine. Rome Odunze, DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, Colson Loveland, DeAndre Swift, the brand new interior offensive
got some
line.
big names.
They'll be okay. And they put up
names.
24 points, but the offense late in the game could not show up really at all. And they let their team go all the way back. And what's funny is the defense of the Jets did nothing against Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers with a defensive coordinator that's now the head coach. Just going to throw out a little tidbit there. But I was thoroughly impressed with JJ McCarthy.
I would say that's a good point, right? The offensive coordinator, who was fantastic for the Lions last year, questionable in this game, right?
A lot of bad
plays. The defensive coordinator, who was a magician for the Lions last year with all the injuries, he served up a mulligan there. That was terrible. He did awful.
Well, you know what? Again, Justin Fields. Massive game, shockingly good game.
Yeah, you didn't expect the offense to be great. You were expecting a low-scoring game with the defense playing well.
Against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 100%.
Yeah,
100%. All right, we're taking another quick 30-second break, but coming up, we got the weekly report of Week 1, as well as we're talking Thursday Night Football. Commanders at the new and rejuvenated Green Bay Packers, who blew out the Detroit Lions. We'll talk about that right after this very, very short break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name is Stephen Harvey. As always, joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our next topic of today's show, which is a new thing we're calling, at least I'm calling, the Weekly Report. We got Steven's summary, the Weekly Report. We're doing Week 1 now. We go through every game. We give you the key takeaway and the key headline coming from every single game. So let's start with the first one, which is the Vikings at the Bears. What do you have for that game in your Weekly Report?
I have a headline, J.J. McCarthy single-handedly beats Bears. And then my takeaway, my summary is J.J. McCarthy looked like a deer in the headlights through 3. But in the fourth quarter, his star shone bright. I think you'd agree.
Well, yeah, 100%. I think that the way that J.J. McCarthy played, he's the first ever career start. Again, the first half, he was completely down and out, threw a pick 6. It looked ugly in that fourth quarter, coming back 21 points in the fourth quarter. For that being your first start, I'd be very, very excited to see what the Vikings' future holds.
I'm sure
with him at quarterback.
Vikings fans are very excited about this.
Kevin O'Connell is their head coach. Is ecstatic after that performance.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next one.
Okay, the next one is the Ravens-Bills. My headline there is the Ravens last year's fourth quarter choke artist carries over to game 1. And that's Baltimore's blunder in Buffalo, as you've got there. That's true. And my summary is the Bills' win was a heist, a colossal theft, coming back to win when they were down by 15 points with only 4 minutes left.
I think that ultimately, when you look at the game, Derrick Henry fumbled. It is what it is. But Josh Allen being able to capitalize on the mistakes from the Ravens and conservative play calling, run, 50 seconds off the clock, run, 40 seconds off the clock. You're doing nothing to move the chains, nothing to do it to seal the game for you, and then you ultimately choke Jair Alexander. 2 big blunders very late on that last drive, which set up the game-winning field goal.
Okay, the next game is Denver at, the Titans at the Broncos, and my headline there is Denver's defense shut down Cam Ward, and my summary is an off day for Bo Nix, 2 picks and a fumble, were offset by a ferocious defense that made the number 1 pick, Cam Ward, bumble and grumble.
I think that if the Denver defense was even mediocre, Cam Ward's winning his first ever career start. Bo Nix was terrible. This is year 2 under Sean Payton. I think that if the defense didn't look as great as it did, Bo Nix would have lost this game in horrific fashion. They need to figure out something on offense. R.J. Harvey was tremendous. I don't love splitting reps amongst 3 players. R.J. Harvey had a tremendous game. Put him in. Bo Nix needs to tone it down a little bit. He's a bit erratic, taking the snap. Need to tone it down. Cam Ward, again, I said this before, the season started. No talent offensively. Defense made some critical mistakes. A very bad penalty late that kept the chains moving for Denver, that gave Denver the game. Cam Ward had an opportunity, made a couple good throws, missed a lot of good throws, but again, first ever career start. You can't blame him too much.
He was
going
last.
up against a tremendous defense like that.
He was last in fantasy points.
Fantasy is what it is.
2.5.
I doubt anyone has him starting for a fantasy team.
Yeah.
Let's go with the next one.
Okay, the next one is the Lions-Packers game. And my headline there is the fans loving the Packers' fast start. And my summary, Micah Parsons got a sack and Jordan Love was on his game, making Dan Gamble wish Aiden Hutchin and Jared Goff could do the same.
I was very impressed with the way that the Packers played. Jordan Love, again, no gaudy numbers, no 300 yards passing, just an efficient offense going up against the Detroit Lions, who I have them leading the NFC North. I'm shaking in my boots. The loss of those two coordinators, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell looked a little bit lost out there. The defense did nothing. The offense looked terrible, especially losing a couple of the interior offensive linemen. I'd be a little bit nervous on the Detroit Lions fans right now. I have them win the NFC North, and I would hope making it far. I've been rooting for them since 2022 to do well. Also, running 22 times, 46 yards.
There's another game.
I'm
where
scared. The Packers look great, though.
How could that be for the Lions? I mean, they have two of the best running backs in the game. Last year, they each had 1,000 yards and 10 TDs. They've done that for 2 years in a row.
Yep.
And yesterday or on Sunday, the Lions' leading rusher,
David Montgomery, 11 carries, 25 yards.
25 yards.
Yeah, the top two running backs, 2.3 yards a carry. That's
Something's
Montgomery.
wrong there.
Gibbs, 2.1. It was bad. Very, very
Something
bad.
very wrong there.
Yeah.
Okay, next game, 49ers 17, Seahawks 13. My headline is banged up 49ers beat Seahawks with late TD. My summary is, despite their attempts to beat themselves with missed field goals and 2 interceptions, the 49ers came through with a late-minute TD that was hardly perfection.
I think that ultimately Brock Purdy didn't look great. He opened up the game tremendously. I think he went 12 of 13, and then the rest of the game was bad. He had 2 ugly picks. The MVP really showed up, even though they were worried about injury. Christian McCaffrey had a good game. The numbers-wise, it wasn't great, but they kept feeding him. He had 31 total touches in this game for over 140 yards.
Yeah.
So they were feeding him. A lot of injury concerns. I wasn't when they said he would play. Brock Purdy might be out for this next game, which means Mac Jones would need to step up. George Kittle's on IR.
Yeah.
That's not great, so we'll need to wait and see. I thought Sam Darnold played all right. Didn't put the ball in harm's way. But he wasn't what we saw last year.
No touchdowns, 150 yards, 16 of 23.
He didn't do great at all. And just for my fantasy team, I don't love Kenneth Walker going 10 attempts, 20 yards.
Well, the other guy was a pretty good runner.
Charbonnet, yeah. 12 carries, 47 yards, and a touchdown.
One thing I'd mention here, the reason I say it wasn't perfection at the end there, I mean, Purdy threw that ball in there. It could have been intercepted. It was the third-string tight end that plucked it away from the guy. He kind of played defense on that one, right? I mean, it was going to be intercepted. It was in their hands, and the guy grabbed it and pulled it away. So they got very lucky on that one.
I'll also say Cooper Kupp, not a great debut for the Seahawks. 2 catches, 15 yards. Yeah. JSN had a tremendous game, but Cooper Kupp being your wide receiver too didn't look too good for the Seahawks.
Okay, the next game with the Texans, 9 points, the Rams 14. My headline on this one, Stafford becomes the 10th quarterback to pass for 60,000 yards in a Rams victory. And my summary is the going was tough, but the Rams got going with Stafford throwing the ball like it was a jet plane made by Boeing.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I think my thing here is the offense of the Rams wasn't bad, but what we saw last year with the Texans offensively, where we're like, what's going on? CJ Stroud, sophomore slump. That's not gone. That's still very much there. 188 yards, no touchdown, 1 pick, 74 passer rating. Hey, I'll say Nick Chubb. We haven't seen him in forever. 13 carries, 60 yards, 4.6 yards a carry. Not bad at all.
Yeah, well, the Rams' defense could have had a bearing on how Stroud played. The Rams have a very good defense.
Oh, tremendous defense.
And the other thing I would point out in this game, Puka Nacua, right? He got hit in the head, cut his head wide open, and bleeding all over the place. 10 receptions, 130 yards. That guy's a baller, man.
Absolutely. 100%.
Okay, the next one. The Panthers 10, Jaguars 26. My headline here is Young Stinker helps Jaguars win. And my summary is 3 years in a row, Bryce Young has stunk in week 1, which made Trevor Lawrence's mediocre performance easier to watch for the Jaguars fans who are having fun.
I think that ultimately for this game, Trevor Lawrence still very much needs to earn his money. He did not look great, like you mentioned. 19 of 31, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, a 74 passer rating. What we did see was Travis Etienne have an insane game. He had 16 carries, 143 yards, 8.9 yards a carry. Bryce Young, I think he may need to get benched again because that fueled a fire last year.
Plus his attitude. They had talked to him after the game. He said, "Oh, it's only game 1. We'll go watch the film,
not for
figure it
his
out."
career.
Not for him. I'd say he's on a game-to-game basis the way he played on Sunday. That's terrible. I feel bad for the coach
Dave
there.
Canales?
Canales. Yeah. I mean, he's defending Bryce Young.
You
I mean, he
have to.
talked to Bryce Young on the sideline, tapped him on the helmet. Bryce Young took his helmet off and slammed it on the ground. Come on, you got to be more professional than that. You got to be a leader.
3 total turnovers, 1 fumble loss, 2 picks, and not a good game. And very, very thin line that Bryce Young's trying to go. He already got benched once.
Yeah.
Just like Anthony Richardson. He got benched once. He got replaced second by Daniel Jones. So we'll see exactly how the Panthers look and Bryce Young looks moving forward.
Okay, the next game is the Bucs 23, Falcons 20, and my headline there is Falcons beat themselves. And I got 2 summaries on this one. First for the Bucs. Despite being on the bad end of some tough calls, bad penalties, and frustrating mistakes, Mayfield's last-minute TD pass to the rookie Ekbuka gave the Bucs a game-winning break. And then for the Falcons early success and late rally weren't enough in a game they blew, done in by their play calling, their coverage, and a kicker named Koo.
Speaking about Younghoe Koo, they brought in a replacement potentially for him to drive competition. And you could tell on the sideline, it looked a little bit shaky. And looking at it, I had no faith that field goal was going to go in before then. I think that just the way the game was set up, it didn't look great. Bijan Robinson, the Bucs defense, which everybody knows Todd Bowles' claim to fame is stopping the run. Bijan Robinson, who was the number 2 guy or number 1 guy, depending on who you drafted in your fantasy team, he went 12 carries, 24 yards. That's bad. He's supposed to be a top guy in the NFL right now. He's getting shut down by Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense, and Baker did not have a good game. Just above 50% completion percentage, but he came alive when it matters. 100%,
right.
3 touchdowns, no picks.
Sounded like McCarthy.
99 passer rating, and also Michael Penix.
Yeah, he played okay.
He played relatively good, and I'll say Kyle
298
Pitts,
yards.
Kyle Pitts, I'm not saying he's back, but good start to the year. Good start for Kyle Pitts after being a nobody.
I was surprised the running game for the Falcons. They had Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, that's what I say. 12 carries, 24 yards. Yeah, 2 yards a carry.
It was terrible. Robinson, but he was the leading receiver with 100 yards and a TD. Well, I think their offense is something screwed up there. They got to look at that.
Maybe. All right, let's go to the next game.
Moving on to the Bengals. Bengals 17, Browns 16. What a game. Bengals saved by Browns. Bengals was saved by the Browns. That's my headline. And my summary is, although poor play by Big Bucks Burrow, Higgins, and Chase made Bengals fans frown, their stinker was exceeded by the hapless Cleveland Browns.
That's a good one. I called this. Joe Burrow now moves to 0-4 in covering the point spread when he's a favorite. 0-4. And this game could have been completely different if the Browns kicker made the PAT. Or it might have been a missed field goal. But
he missed a field goal and missed a point after.
So there were 4 points left on the board for the Cleveland Browns.
Easy field goal, 36-yard field goal he missed.
I'll also say the offensive line is still abysmal. Joe Burrow was dancing in the pocket like a ballerina. He took 3 sacks in this game, and the offense sputtered. Chase Brown, like I've been saying, and what people don't believe, Chase Brown is okay. He's not going to be this 1,000-yard rusher that's going to help this team, and especially the projections are 1,400 scrimmage yards.
Yeah.
After this game, I don't know about that. He did have a touchdown in this game, but Jamar Chase was a nothing factor, again, for my fantasy team.
The Browns had 29 yards rushing. That's big, huh?
Well, Dylan Sampson at 29,
And Flacco, maybe not so bad, 31 or 45.
No, Flacco played okay.
They had 2 interceptions.
A couple of them were tipped, so they weren't on him. They were on him. But he technically did have 2 interceptions. So that's the Browns for you, and the Bengals. Offensive
Okay,
line,
moving on to one of the
defense
big
help.
games, one of the most exciting games of the weekend. The Steelers 34, the Jets 32. And my headline there is Aaron Rodgers gets his revenge. And my summary is Aaron Glenn's prowess as a defensive wizard was totally deflated by Aaron Rodgers' 4 TDs, offensive blizzard.
I'll say that Aaron Rodgers, I'm not saying that he's back, but this was a revenge game. That's all this was. And he said after the win, he's just happy to beat anyone associated with the Jets. I like that response.
Yeah,
I like the response.
A lot of those people over there said I was all washed up and couldn't play anymore. I proved them wrong. He said that too.
We'll see what it looks like now. The Steelers' defense was not good at all. Rodgers did have 4 touchdowns, which is massive, and Justin Fields looked shockingly good and had nice touch on the football.
16 of 22, 218 yards, a TD, and his running was very good, too.
Brees saw 100 yards,
yeah,
5.6 yards carry. The running game, again, we'll see what that looks like. Jalen Warren being RB1.
Well, where's Aaron Glenn? What's the story here, giving up 34 points to the Steelers?
It's week 1, new game. Sauce Gardner did tremendous. He was the highest graded cornerback, I believe, by Pro Football Focus in week 1. And just before you go into the next one, I want some recognition. Brandon Stevens, the former Baltimore Raven, got picked up by the Jets. Who let the Steelers back in this game? Brandon Stevens, who let up the perfect passer rating when targeted at? Are you kidding me? I told my friend who's a Jets fan that this is a massive mistake. Week 1, it's already paying dividends. Brandon Stevens, there's a chance he gets released before the season ends because this was an abysmal performance by a guy who I could see every time. Ravens defense last year, you see a wide open receiver. Who is in coverage? Brandon Stevens.
Yeah.
He's not good.
Okay.
Not good whatsoever.
Well, all right, next game is the Giants 6, Commanders 21. My headline there, Jaden Daniels, too much for the Giants. And my summary, giving up 300 all-purpose yards to Jaden Daniels will begin a year filled with finger-pointing and blame. With the hardest NFL schedule, it won't be long before we're saying goodbye to Daboll, Wilson, and Shane.
I think that you're 100% right here. The offense has no running game. Russ excels when he has an effective running game. When you have Tyrone Tracy, Devin Singletary, and Cam Scadaboo as your running backs who do next to nothing, the offensive line was all right, but Russ at your quarterback, yeah, I completely agree. Looking forward, and I covered it briefly, 1 win, maybe. If we're being realistic after this performance, and this is what we have in front of us, if it's even a similar performance, not the exact same, we're looking at 1 win over the Saints, and that's even an iffy because of what they just did against the Cardinals in Week 1.
Do you think Debo has been reborn in Washington?
Week 1 performance was nice. I have him on a fantasy team. Yeah. We'll see.
7 catches, 77 yards.
We'll
not
see.
bad.
But Giants run for the hills if you're a Giants fan. It's going to be a rough season for everybody out there.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is the Raiders 20, Patriots 13. And my headline there, Vrabel outcoached by Pete Carroll. And my summary is, in the first half, Vrabel's new-look Patriots had the Raiders over a barrel, only to be undone by the second-half adjustments by ancient head coach Pete Carroll.
I think ultimately Drake May, again, we saw the turnovers. We didn't see a good performance whatsoever. 30 of 46. I don't know. I don't understand why you had to throw it 46 times. You were actually leading 10-7 entering halftime. And also, there's a guy, that you drafted named Travion Henderson. I'd give him the ball more than 5 times. Just going to throw that out here because he is your guy. I don't think we would all say Ramondre Stevenson having 7 carries, 15 yards is good enough when your other... By the way, Henderson is 3rd string. 5 carries, 27 yards, 5.4 yards a carry. But I think ultimately Drake May, very young quarterback, throwing it 46 times. Kayshon Boutte, your guy. You had a lot of faith in him in the draft.
Yeah.
He got put in Belichick's doghouse like that after, I believe it was the Eagles game. I think it was the Eagles game.
He's their best receiver.
He is.
Yeah.
And that's
concerning. 6 receptions for about
103 yards. Yeah. And that's concerning if Kayshon Boutte is your best receiver because you have Stephon Diggs, and honestly, Hunter Henry, he's still being as effective as he is.
Yeah. Geno Smith, 362 yards passing. Not bad.
You were able to stop Ashton Genty in the hype for at least week 1. He did not have a good game, had 2 yards a carry. I think the Patriots defense, that's the story here. Geno Smith having damn near 400 total yards of offense, that's massively concerning. Christian Gonzalez hasn't practiced since like late July. You have to get him out there. They felt this loss in this game. And the newly invented Patriots defense allowed Geno Smith to go 24-34, 362 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 102 passer rating.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, we're talking about. A guy who they cooked when he was on the New York Jets.
Okay.
Bad luck. Very, very bad luck.
Okay, our next game was the Cardinals 20, Saints 13. My headline on that one, the Saints penalties hand victory to the Cardinals. And my summary, despite a few big Cardinal plays, the Saints could have evened the score. But 13 penalties did them in and reflect poorly on rookie head coach Kellen Moore.
I think ultimately, I would take a look at Kyler Murray. Had a pretty nice performance, 21 of 29.
Yeah.
The Saints kept this game close early. They actually led for a little portion of the game there. And then the Cardinals got into a rhythm, able to take the lead back, and they held on to it. But there was an opportunity late in the game for the Saints to shock me because they were part of my Harvey hot hand, which, by the way, we hit. We went 3-2 this week. James Conner did not have a good game, 12 of 39, didn't love it. Trey Benson was the big runner there. Kyler Murray played all right, not great, but the Saints are what we thought they were.
Harrison had a decent game.
Yeah, 5 catches, 71 yards, and a touchdown. That's what we expect. But, the Saints are what we thought they were. Have a quarterback that had a 70 passer rating. Not great at all. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, the next one is, and you talked a lot about this game.
Damn
the Dolphins 8, the Colts 33. My headline there, Colts blowout Dolphins. My summary, Mike McDaniel's days as head coach are numbered. I think you'll agree. When Daniel Jones lights up the Dolphins defense like a Times Square Christmas tree.
I like that. Yeah, like I said, I'll reiterate it for here if anyone's tuning in.
This was Daniel Jones.
Correct.
Right.
That's why I think 3 things are going to happen. 2 definitely, but 3 potentially. Mike McDaniel will not be the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. My guess is by the end of the year. The second thing would be Tyreek Hill probably will be traded by the trade deadline, or at least at the end of the year. He won't be there next year. And I think the Dolphins should be looking at another quarterback. You can't have a quarterback, and I don't have the numbers in front of me. You can't have a quarterback where 19 of his 25 losses come in like nice weather, 65 degrees and below. You can't have a quarterback who plays okay through 70% of the season, and in the last 30% when you need him to perform, he's a frozen fish out of water. You can't have that. And that's what they have right now at starting quarterback with Tua, who, by the way, I'm going to keep saying this, who's one decent injury away, one concussion away from potentially being medically forced to retire.
He makes
Unfortunately,
makes $50 million a year.
And he's not earning it whatsoever. And they can win games here and there, but after this performance and missing receivers and bad interceptions and a fumble, the only other quarterback since 2020 to have more than 3+ turnovers in the game is Trevor Lawrence, and he only has 1 more. 7th time this happened. Trevor Lawrence has 8 of those occurrences. It was bad.
Okay, the next game is the Chiefs 20, the Chargers 27. This was a very good game, played in Brazil.
Yep, São Paulo,
and
Brazil.
My headline there is, you're going to bring it up. Herbert outplays Mahomes and Chargers win. My summary, I have 2, one for the Chiefs and one for the Chargers here. For the Chargers, beating the Chiefs in São Paulo, Brazil on a Friday makes me think Herbert have a chance to go all the way. And for the Chiefs, I say the Chiefs' sputtering offense from 2024 returned to haunt them in this game, but the defensive mistakes can also be blamed.
I think what we saw shocked me. You're telling me Greg Roman had an offense that allowed the quarterback to throw 34 times? And they ran it for 90? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Are you for real? Just add that. So yeah, the percentage of games that you win when this happens raised up a little bit from 31, I think, to maybe 33. So Greg Roman, having his quarterback throw 34 times, stunned me. But Justin Herbert showed up in a massive way. 318 yards, 3 touchdowns. Are you serious? Justin Herbert played out of his mind. This might have been the best performance, and especially the last time we saw him, he threw 4 picks to the Houston Texans. Good for Justin Herbert. And on the Chiefs side, the defense was terrible, got cooked. You let Quentin Johnston all of a sudden become wide receiver 1, I believe.
Yeah, he had a good
Absolutely
game,
insane.
right?
2 touchdowns, 79
and
yards.
No running in from either team in this game. Hampton had 15 carries for 48 yards. And
That's
Mahomes,
unfortunate.
Mahomes was the leading rusher for the Chiefs with 57 yards.
Yeah, no, Mahomes early on played poorly. Very, very poorly. He had a couple opportunities there, but ultimately, no, the Chiefs look bad. Is it the end of the kingdom? Maybe. But did this loss maybe, tell us something about both these teams? Potentially. If
I
Justin
think
Herbert
it's
keeps on
going to be
performances
tough
like
for the
this.
Chiefs here for a while because they lost Worthy. I don't know whether he'll be back, but they're playing the Eagles coming right up here, right?
Yeah.
Chiefs-Eagles.
And by the way, Jalen Carter's not getting suspended for this game. They counted week 1 as his 1-game suspension. So he will be playing against the Kansas City Chiefs in week 2.
Well, that's a good lead into that last game here. The Eagles beating the Cowboys 24-20. My headline here is Lightning Strikes for Eagles and win. And I had two summaries, one for the Eagles and one for the Cowboys. I say for the Eagles, spitting on Dak Prescott prevents Carter from getting a sack. But the Eagles win anyway with leadership from Hurts and unexpected assist from lightning strike alerts.
Again, phenomenal play on words there.
And on the Cowboys side, the Michaelis Cowboys play better than expected, but a fumble by Sanders and key drop by CD leave Schottenheimer dejected.
I would actually feel pretty good if you're the Dallas Cowboys because you were 8.5-point favorites and you stopped, a 2,000-yard rusher.
I was surprised how well they played.
They played surprisingly well. Now, does this mean they're going to be a playoff team? No. I think the NFC
I think
is
it
way
means
too
they're going to
strong.
crush the Giants on Sunday.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that, again, Russ is going to have no running game because Kenny Clark did a very good job at stopping Saquon from making a big impact. He did have 18 carries for 60 yards and a touchdown. And also, Jalen Hurts did very well on the ground. But I think ultimately, Javonte Williams surprised me at least. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. Dak Prescott played very efficiently in this game. But in the second half, it was the defenses finally got, allocated to real live snaps again. CeeDee Lamb needs to not drop it 4 times, and maybe they have a chance at winning. But I was thoroughly impressed with the Dallas Cowboys, and maybe a little bit concerned about, the Eagles' defense letting Dak Prescott and this team, who nobody believed in, put up 20 points against you, and were that close from maybe taking the lead and winning this game.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a great look, but hey, Eagles get the win. They're 1-0. Cowboys, they go, you have a little bit of a break now. You don't need to fully take your foot off the gas, but maybe ease up a little bit because you're going against the New York Giants. So, I don't know. It's going to be an ugly, ugly game for the New York Giants in week 2.
I think so.
Maybe we'll see.
One win.
Go 1-1 right after that. All right, let's get into our final topic of today's show, which is indeed Thursday Night Football, the first one this season on Prime Video. It's the Commanders at the Packers. This is going to be a good game. The Packers, I think, shocked a decent amount of people. Maybe not, depending on the bettors had the Packers favored by 2.5 points. But the Packers defense really showed up against, the Lions offense. They're really stunting anything the Lions tried doing. Jared Goff didn't look great. And on the other side, the Commanders defense shut down anything Russ tried to do. Anything Brian Daboll tried to, draw up. Jaden Daniels had a very, very good game, 301 yards and a touchdown. Love, 192 effective yards, and 2 touchdowns as well. So here's my question to you. Who do you think will get the win on Thursday, the Commanders or the Packers?
Well, the Packers are at home. They're 8-3 since the beginning of 24 at home, so that leans towards them in that regard. They held the Lions to 13 points and 246 yards. And the Lions are not a shabby offensive team, so that speaks highly for their defense. And now they have Micah Parsons. They need to get Josh Jacobs going. He had 19 carries, 66 yards, and 1 TD, 3.5 yards per carry. More touches for him, I think, is necessary here in this next game. The wide receivers also need to get going, with Dobbs the leading receiver in game 1 with only 2 catches and 68 yards. The Packers only 266 yards in game 1. I mean, that's not their offense. They got to be better than that. Packers have the youngest team in the NFL. The Commanders have the oldest. The Commanders look good in week 1, but of course they were playing the Giants. 432 total yards, 6.6 yards per play, which are very good. Washington is healthier for this short week game than the Packers. The Packers are without their cornerback Hobbs, tackle Zach Tom, and guard Aaron Banks, so that could be a factor. Micah Parsons has more time to learn the Packers' defense, so that's not good for the Commanders. I think Daniels will be better able to avoid the pressure than Goff was, so I think he'll be able to negate the defense a little bit better than the Lions were able to in game 1. The Commanders' defense is not as strong as the Lions. The Lions' defense is a stronger group than the Commanders, and the Lions' defense gave up 27 points to the Packers. So it's a tough one to pick, Nate. The Packers are -3.5. I'm picking the Packers to win 26-23 and not cover.
I'll take the Commanders straight up. I'll take them as underdogs.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by that. That could very well happen.
I think that the biggest play is not going to be exactly Jaden Daniels throwing it, between the numbers and up the seam. I think it's going to be on what does he do with his legs. I think he does have that X factor that Lamar Jackson obviously has, Jalen Hurts has, and all these mobile quarterbacks have. But I think that Jaden Daniels has a more developed passing game than Lamar did at this current point in year 2, just because of the system. He's more of a passing system, where Lamar was dealing with Greg Roman, who just kept being the number one running team, and not helping his passing. So when we saw against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, where Todd Monken had to all of a sudden change the game plan to be pass heavy, they scored 10 points. So I think that Jaden Daniels, he's going to be very good. I think Deebo Samuel had a tremendous game. Terry McLaurin, I think, could get going. I think that, Austin Eckler, he had a couple nice plays here and there, but is he going to be effective running the football? Maybe. I don't expect it.
I think it's possible the Commanders could win this game, because generally Jordan Love starts slow, right?
Yes.
And he was okay. He played pretty well game 1, but does that mean he's going to be great in this game? I think there's a question mark there. And I like the Commanders. I think they're a very good team. I just think the Packers at home, only the second game of the season, I don't think they'll cover. That's the thing.
But you still have the Packers winning, though.
I do have them winning, and I'm thinking about changing my mind right now.
No, the pick's in. So it's like the draft. The pick is in. You can't go back on it.
The pick is in. I'm taking them, but I wouldn't be surprised if you're right.
I mean, think about it, though. The Packers' defense is good. Really, really good. Quay Walker. You have Micah Parsons now. You have some dudes. You have some serious, serious threats. The question is, they're the oldest team, which also means the most experienced team. How are they going to do against a ferocious pass rush? Is Jaden Daniels going to have a decent enough running game to work the play action?
He's nimble. He can scramble. He makes something out of nothing.
Correct.
He's a magician.
Yeah, but if Micah Parsons coming at you,
last year. Look how he played last year.
Oh, he
played against Micah Parsons twice last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And by the way, this is the first time that Jordan Love will be facing the Commanders, and this is the first time Jaden Daniels faces the Packers. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how these teams operate, but I think that the Commanders' defense is relatively underrated. I think obviously we could look at it and say, oh my God, and it is rated the 5th best defense overall, and also number 1 in the scoring defense. That's because you played the New York Giants. I don't think we're taking a look at it and say, okay, no, absolutely, they're the 5th best defense.
Yeah.
No, you just played against the New York Giants.
Right.
So I think that, I think this will be a relatively high-scoring game. I'll go 28-25, I would say. It's a weird score, maybe 28-24. I think the Commanders will get this victory here. I think Jaden Daniels have a crazy play. I mean, the one-score games, the comebacks last year was great, and then the opportunity to capitalize on some crazy plays against the Giants. I'm loving it. I'll take the Commanders straight up in the upset victory on Thursday Night Football.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. We'll cover that on Friday's show. But for this episode, the Harvey Hour, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's Stephen Harvey. We are the hosts of the Harvey Hour. Thank you, obviously, for the constant support. If you want to help out the show, there's some links down below so you can help us out. But for this show, like I said, my name's Nathan Harvey. That's Stephen Harvey. We'll see you Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.